perfectly timed meow if I ever heard that. That was adorable. Well, thanks, little Meowgie, for meowing us in there. Hi, Suze.
Hello there. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing real well. I feel like I'd be doing better if there were like an animal on my lap. Where the heck are you, Bo? She's still mad at me from camping.
I know.
She hasn't recovered
Someone's
yet.
keeping me company over here. It's very cute.
Yes.
I would love more snuggling. I wish she was even snugglier.
Yeah, what happened to your cat?
What do you mean, the snuggle thing?
Yeah.
I think she's just standoffish, man.
Yeah.
And I just want love. I need it.
Yeah, maybe if you try to, like, do the opposite, like, try to, like not care. Give her the cold shoulder. Shun her. Make her desperate for your affection.
Okay. I'll work on it. I do cast a cold shadow, so I hear.
Where do you think she learned
it? People. Right. She is my daughter.
Right. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're back from your voyage or vacation and all happy now.
Oh.
I have so much to talk about today.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, first of all,
I love when she starts like that. That means we're getting real serious real fast.
Yeah, because it's kind of a long thing, and I want to preface this by saying, listen, I know I talk about a lot of dumb shit. Literally, we talk about shit and poop all the time on here. Correct. I'm not above it.
Never.
Whatevs. Mm-hmm. However, people keep sending me things saying, like, you guys have to talk about, like, this Wayfair scandal, this...
Oh, my God.
Whole thing, okay? Mm-hmm. It's like, trending. Everyone's talking about sex trafficking and conspiracy theories, and then Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine and Madeleine McCann and John Bonet and all this stuff. And it's like, I get it. We all have those moments where this stuff is appealing and we want to talk about it. Here's why I really don't want to. I was having this feeling, but then last night I read this article in The Atlantic about, it was called like How to Have a Fake Baby. And it was about these sort of like rampant conspiracies about celebrity babies not being either, when they said Beyonce was like not really pregnant, and they've said that about Kim Kardashian, and they like think Benedict Cumberbatch has like make-believe children and he's in this sham marriage. There's all these weird celebrity conspiracies. And it was unpacking why women in particular are so drawn to these quote-unquote rabbit holes. They always say, I went down a rabbit hole on the internet, and now I think, Jeffrey Epstein abducted John Benet Ramsey or whatever.
Is it really women who are more prone to this?
Well, so the article was describing how normal conspiracy theories, like let's say 9/11, that tends to be more of a male-driven thing. But these like baby ones and pregnancy and sex trafficking and all that tends to be more women.
Is it because it plays on the biggest fear? Is it just the biggest fear of each of those individuals? One like that, I don't know, there's some other form of power, and for women it's like...
Yeah, they were saying that like, this is a way that women kind of make sense of chaos in the world. And there's a lot of chaos right now, and I think that's why a lot of these things are ramping up. And also, they were kind of suggesting that there's misogyny here, like women against women, where it's like we're weirdly like suspicious of other women's pregnancies and girlfriends and wives of celebrities and stuff, where it's kind of this weird patriarchy thing, but that women are perpetuating. So basically, I just am wanting our listeners to maybe, we all have those moments where like a conspiracy theory is appealing and we're like, ooh, that's interesting.
Right.
But maybe just like whenever you start to fixate on stuff like that, I want to encourage them to like go down a different path. For instance, last night I watched on PBS, they had a documentary called The Vote, and it was about the fight for women's right to vote. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, this is the kind of thing that I want women to be spending their time on. This is the kind of thing that we ought to be putting our energy and effort into, is like learning about history and the world and making a better place and doing our part. And instead we're like, hey, I think Britney is being held captive, which she probably is, but you can't do anything about it.
Right.
So I don't know. I just wanted to see what you think about it.
So when it comes to, because I asked this when I was, well, not this exactly, but I'll tell you, when I was in, I can't remember what class it was in. I think it was my life cycles and aging class in school. And we talked about one of my professors is one of the leading therapists and specialists on fertility or infertility and treating couples that are dealing with infertility. So I was asking him about celebrity pregnancies and things like that, and how can we see so many women who are, older, who are pregnant and all this stuff. And he said because surrogacy is so popular, because it's happening all the time. And often they're not, at a certain age, they're no longer... They're probably using egg donors and all this stuff. So it's kind of like when I was talking a few weeks ago about and I got all fired up about hair transplants in men and how nobody talks about it. It just creates this this when you think that what is it, 1/3 of women have experienced a miscarriage, and then you see older female celebrities getting pregnant and having twins and all this stuff, and they don't come out and say, oh, yes, I used a surrogate and I got pregnant like this, that there's this, it's like the pendulum swings in the other direction. Like we go too far with the... it almost, I don't even know how to describe it. It makes us feel a little bit better to maybe about the times where we had very real human experiences, and when there are these people who get put on pedestals that seem almost immune to real human experiences, and that it's like that Schadenfreude thing.
Right. Yeah. That we just have to believe that everything couldn't be that perfect. It must be.
Yes.
There must be more to the story.
Yes.
And I think it might be a red flag if you're on Wayfair and you see an expensive cabinet and your mind automatically jumps to sex trafficking.
Oh, but it really did kind of, I for a minute, saw that trending and was like, it's very creepy, but yes, I agree.
Well, but I think, and I'm not saying you're crazy to think that. I'm saying it tells us something about where we are in the world, that we don't trust politicians, we don't trust the media, we don't trust scholars, we don't trust anything. So then that opens things up to everybody's out to get you, and it sparks paranoia. Yeah. And maybe we're missing things that actually are right in front of us because we're busy down these quote unquote rabbit holes, looking for things that aren't actually there.
When that is very possible, because it could just be the difference of a decimal point, because my tent that I love so much, I got at the Goodwill for $2.99 because somebody wrote down the tag wrong and it should have been $29.99, and I got the deal of the century because of a decimal place error.
Right.
And this could have easily been a decimal place error, because even the descriptions, if you there's 1,000 million things that could be.
And I think, okay, maybe it is sex trafficking, what do I know? Okay. But maybe we should explore all the things it might be before we get to there is a human being shipped in a cabinet.
Yeah, and also I think, the old, I don't know why this, and maybe this sounds silly that this is what came up for me when you said that, but the whole think globally, act locally thing, you know, it's policing the internet and doing this kind of stuff, or getting fired up about this, when maybe you're what's the relationship with your own children? What's the, how, could this time be used to maybe benefit somebody close to you in a way that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just saying maybe leave that to the FBI, and you could watch a documentary about how we got the right to vote, because it is such a great documentary. It's streaming on PBS for free, so you can just watch it on your laptop or whatever. And my God, when you see what they were up against, and you realize what a miracle it is that we did eventually get the right to vote, it's really inspiring. And just the intersection as well of like, there was a big problem with like, do we let women vote first or do we let African American men vote first? And how it pit the two groups against each other, and how black folks were like, no, we have to go first because they're killing us. And white women were like, but we have a better chance, you know, whatever. Yeah. It was just fascinating looking at the politics of it, and like the intersection of race and class and gender.
That's fascinating.
And then how lucky it is that it all ended up at least working out in terms of, on paper, everyone being... Now, there's still like the equivalent of the poll tax and stuff like that going on with voting. You know how they get rid of all the voting areas and all that.
Right. Right.
And like particularly people of color and, you know, low-income communities get screwed. But
yeah, and, you know, just general being disenfranchised and... You know.
Yeah, but this is why it was so good to see, because it's like you can see how it all works, and you can empower yourself with knowledge and information about how to avoid it and things like that. It's really good.
And then you can, because it's one of those bottom up or top down things, you know, and you that you have to do like the local, like learn about what's going on right in your neighborhood. If you don't like that, well, take a look into the background of the people who are on the board of, like, I don't know, directors for the school district or for, you know, I don't know, that energy can just be put towards something that makes an impact close to you.
I mean, for the record, I definitely do think Britney Spears is being held
against.
Oh,
for sure. I do too.
Just, you know,
100,000,000%. I am
like that
all
situation is
hashtag
not normal.
Not normal. And thank goodness, I wonder when this is going to come out. But I know she has a hearing coming up too.
I know. I hope she, you know, free Britney. But, I mean, like, we can just say that and move on and learn other things in the meantime.
Yes. Yeah. There's so many poo stories. I mean, come on.
I know. One thing we learned recently, though, was how much we love Magic Spoon cereal.
Oh, yes.
Because it is so yummy and healthy. You guys are going to love it. 0 sugar. There's 11 grams of protein. And they have 4 flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry. Tastes amazing. It's great as a snack or as a breakfast. Keto-free, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low carb, and GMO-free. Because, you know, everyone loves cereal, but nobody wants to eat garbage for breakfast.
No.
So this is a nice way to do, you know, scratch the itch, but stay healthy. Go to magicspoon.com/braincandy to grab a variety pack and try it today. Be sure to use our promo code BRAINCANDY at checkout to get free shipping. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. So there you go.
Yeah.
No questions asked. That's magicspoon.com/braincandy and use the code BRAINCANDY for free shipping. We thank Magic Spoon for sponsoring this podcast.
There will never be an age that I will hit where I don't want to eat cereal.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I've just hit that I've probably hit the bottom part where I'm only going to start wanting it more. And then I have kids and it's like around me more because then they have cereal. This is like, I love it. There's nothing better than
it's one of the joys of life.
Yeah. You know, a Sunday afternoon, you know, maybe you indulge in some funny cigarettes. And you just watch a funny movie and you eat some cereal right out of the box. What ifs? Cocoa, please.
Whenever I posted on Instagram the video of me going through my nightstand and showing what was in the drawer.
Oh my God, I missed that.
Oh my God.
You have to send it to me.
Donuts,
yeah,
of course, Fritos, and chicken and a biscuit crackers. And someone wrote, "You have the munchies from those edibles you ate." And I'm like, 100%.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I love that though.
Anyway, I also read an article about...
just real quick, that's really funny when you said that. The time for our recording was at 4:20. I'm just saying.
See?
Go ahead.
Oh my God. I'm in the wavelength. Okay, I read an article about the history of the ice cream truck. It was so good.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for this.
Are you one of those, like, if you heard it right now, would you go out? The entertainer.
That is so funny. Are there any other ice cream songs, or is that the one?
No, sometimes I've heard, like, It's a Small World.
Oh, like yeah. That. I don't like when they do that. Don't do that to me.
Don't do that. If you heard the ice cream truck right now, would you be tempted? Would you go out?
No. If I were 10, yes.
Really? You're so disciplined.
Well, only just because I learned the damaging effects of blue dye number whatever.
Yeah.
And,
What would you have chosen back in the day, though?
Oh, I liked anything with the gumball eyeballs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it didn't even feel like ice cream. Like, the texture was, like, soft but hard at the same time. And there was something, it was almost like early ASMR. I liked how it felt to, like, squish it in my, like, I liked how it felt to bite into that kind of ice cream. And, like, it felt good. It's a
strange. Singular experience.
And I just, yes, it is. And I just loved it. And so I would go for, like, the Tweety Bird. My only, or like the Ninja Turtle. That was also a big,
oh my God,
I was also a big
character.
fan of that. Yes, I would, because they had the gumball eyeballs. You can't get eyeballs that out of gumball if you don't have, like, face to put it on.
Anthropomorphized.
Yes. And let me think. I'm trying to think. Yeah, you know what? I wasn't a big fan of the chocolate ones back then because, like, they always seemed to be more melty. Probably because, yeah, it was about, like, and I didn't like the drip factor. But if I were at school and they had, like, an ice cream, they did have, like, an ice cream truck that was by school, and I would always get a big stick.
Right, yeah, if you're going, go all in.
Yeah, you know, this gal likes a big stick, and you know what? Some things never change.
My silent laugh. She likes a big stick, everybody.
Now tell me about your favorite.
Okay. You know what I loved for
nothing
many years?
like a penis joke and an ice cream truck in an ice cream truck story.
I know, best
right?
of both worlds.
Oh, that's terrible.
For many years, I would go for the orange push-up.
Oh, yes.
I love
the Flintstone
those.
one.
Is it Flintstone?
Yes. Flintstone
I don't know
push
about
pop.
that.
Yes,
that
totally.
was probably in your neighborhood only, like ritzy people.
You always say that. Anything it's like anytime it's something that like you don't know what it is. So could have been like East Coast, thing. West Coast. You're like, it's because you were in a ritzy
you had
neighborhood.
Money.
I'm like, yeah, middle class.
It's because you guys could pay your bills.
Oh, that's so funny. You and your tan carpet.
I know. No, okay, so yeah, I like that. I also liked, you know that one, they had it in chocolate and strawberry. It was on a stick, and it was covered
crunchy
in, like, crumble.
Outside. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love those.
And it was like a strawberry. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Wasn't a fan, but I do know what you're talking about.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was fascinated because so much of what made the ice cream truck possible was the just simple technology of a stick in ice cream, because this seems obvious now, but you can imagine if you'd only had ice cream in the bowl, having a stick involved would have made no sense. So, because, you know, how are you going to put it? Because it was just the cone or nothing. And so once they devised that technology that kind of created the, like, chocolate coating, then they figured out, okay, but it's too melty and the drip factor that Sarah hates.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. This is a real thing.
They didn't like that either. And so this guy created this stick technology. And then also they went from the push cart situation to, trucks.
Is that refrigerated truck? Like
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
But it started with like a pickup truck where it was like a fridge in the back, and then he would jump out and get it for you. But then once like they had the step down where they could go from the driver's seat right back into that back area.
Yeah.
I mean, they were rolling with all cylinders at that point.
Yeah.
Now,
what year did this start?
So that started real early, like, the 50s or something. But then things got real tricky in the 70s because evidently, who knew there was a scandal? Good Humor was fined because they falsified 244 records to hide the fact that they had bacteria. And 10% of their stock was contaminated for years.
Good Humor. The irony.
Gross.
Oh.
So nasty. Apparently one of their, like, plants that made the ice cream had a bit of a hygiene problem.
Oh, my gosh.
So anyway, they kind of went out of business, and that's when things went downhill. That was 1975, and after that, it was more like.
But
it was
Good Humor
rare.
has totally come back full. They're like, right?
They're alleging that those trucks that are out there now are just like the same ones from like 1975.
No.
That's what they're saying in this article.
So So do you think at one time it was like a company that did it, and then it was and then it's like now it's individual? What?
Yeah, it was Good Humor, and then they started like franchising it, and then after the debacle with the falsified records, then they were like, "Fuck this, we're going to just do grocery stores."
So we're out of the truck game,
Right,
and now
it was
it's
just
like
pedophiles
rogue
and Wayfair cabinets.
Oh my God, that is so funny. No, it's terrible. I mean, that's not funny, but it's funny. Oh my God.
This article was in the SmithsonianMag.com, and it was saying how like ice cream trucks were very American because they combined 4 things that we all love in America, which is mobility, novelty, instant gratification, and convenience. And those are not, that does not speak well of us as a
One
nation.
would also, maybe throw processed food on there.
Oh, yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's
Yeah,
like
garbage.
A pillar of the...
It's in our
It's like,
Constitution.
it's like, I don't know, represents one of the stars or something on the flag. I don't know.
I mean, but there is something about when you hear that noise. And
I know.
It really does feel special. Even if you have ice cream in your freezer, it's different.
But like, okay, so here's the thing. So this is I like to do this with anything. What are the elements, like you said, the elements of that we like? So we like something that's mobile. We like something that's convenient. We like
something that's immediate.
Immediate.
So there's no delayed gratification. Mm-hmm. And convenient and mobile and,
And
all
so
that stuff. Novelty.
And novelty.
Mm-hmm. So basically we're shallow assholes.
Well, no, I think, but I think you just have to take, like, that's why, okay, I link this to, do you see on Instagram, like, all, like, the food videos that'll be, like, for a while, the ice cream that you could shave into the little ribbons was really popular?
I don't know that one.
Okay, so they would take cream, like sweet cream, and they would put it over a frozen piece of metal or like a frozen block.
Yeah.
And then you can scrape it off. It would turn into like ice cream. And you scrape it in this way that it almost makes these ribbons, like it curls up.
Oh, yeah.
And they make it into like a rose shape or whatever. That,
Yes.
I think, is the same. We love that kind of cart stuff. Or
Yeah,
in
we
other
like
countries,
watching it.
it's the same as like why we love a fair. Like not a
or
fair,
like Benihana.
but like fair food, like that you get like dipping the corn dog and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, we love novelty, man.
yeah, so maybe you can create like novelty at home with those same kind of like elements and just like we don't do it as much now, but we should probably get back in the habit of this. When Ren and I first started dating, I used to only allow us to eat ice cream out of my like retro-y like ice cream sundae, like the ice
the
cream
little bowls?
sundae. They're not bowl. They're like almost like cups, but a bowl. Like, how do you even describe them? They're like 50s malt.
Yeah, they're on a stand.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, and I was like, we're only eating ice cream out of this because it like adds a little
I like that.
novelty
That's
to
cute.
it. And so, like, I don't know. Because
I
now
love that.
I'm not going to be getting any ice cream off of any ice cream
Hell
trucks.
no.
Hell no.
Yeah, you can can it with that bacteria.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just like, I don't know, say like, hey, Lexi, as we call her when we don't want her to do anything.
Yeah.
Play the entertainer, and then I'll go to the fridge and grab my special
There
bowls.
you go.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just create the
Okay.
Pavlovian effect.
Yeah,
The
we
end.
don't need you in your stupid truck.
I love this article.
Me too. Okay, so there you go. That's the scoop on that.
Oh, the scoop.
Oh,
That was adorable.
and unintentional.
But one follow-up question.
Yes.
What about Lincoln? Does he like an ice cream truck? Because there's got to be those
He
rolling through your
would.
school or your neighborhood.
They're not. He would love it.
What do you mean they're not coming? Maybe because the
I've
hill's
never
too
seen
steep.
one ever. Maybe.
It's hard to park.
Maybe they're just not a part of the California landscape anymore.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw one? A long time ago, right?
When I lived in a neighborhood in Orange County, when I lived in Coto, they definitely came through there.
Get out of here.
Yeah, they totally did.
I bet they made a mint.
I'm sure they did. They probably charged 3 times as much, and yeah, it was a whole thing.
That's a real racket.
Yeah. My little brother used to remember AYSO soccer, and they would sell candy bars? Did you ever do that? It was like C's candy bars that were $1 a piece, and you had to sell them to like raise money for your AYSO soccer team. Mm-hmm. My brother, when no joke, he was like 8 years old. He went door to door selling them for $2 a piece.
I remember. And I was like appalled, and you were like, no, it's entrepreneurial. He was like killing it.
Killed it. Yeah.
It was
then
like
didn't come home that night, and we had to call. My mom called the police. First of all, why did she let him go to door to door by himself?
I mean, that's when what I did, and that's when that guy answered the door with no pants on.
Oh my God!
I was selling candy bars, and he bought 2 candy bars for the record.
I bet he did.
Like, I continued on with my sales pitch, even though he was pantsless.
Oh my God! You continued with your sales. Well,
this is what
she's
we
nothing
teach
if
girls,
not dedicated. Closers. What is it? Always be closing.
Always be closing.
Everything but that guy's
But
robe.
it's also because this is what we teach girls to do. Like, don't make them feel uncomfortable.
Ew.
Meanwhile, he's buying Wayfair cabinets, if you know what I mean.
Ew. Stop being hilarious and gross and hilarious.
Okay. Anyway.
That's so funny.
There was an article in the New York Times, which I found interesting, about, you remember how we were talking about how there was some problems with Scrabble? Like, oh no, it was crossword puzzles.
Oh yes, how they were totally, the patriarchy was like
sexist, whatever.
Sexist.
Well, now this is about Scrabble.
Oh no.
They now, thankfully, are not allowing racial slurs to be played in tournaments anymore.
That was a thing they allowed?
Yeah,
because it's any word in the stupid Scrabble dictionary. Yeah.
Yes. And so it was a big debate, and I found it so interesting because, like, to us, this seems obvious. Like, of course you wouldn't want racial slurs, but to the players, and including many black players, they're like, listen, we're not in this for, like, the word's meaning. The word's meaning is irrelevant. This is a vehicle for us to get points.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of mad because it makes the gameplay harder.
Huh. And then, interesting. Okay. Because then what falls into a racial slur? And, like... Well, what if it has a double meaning?
It made me wonder,
like the word I think of is cracker. Obviously,
cracker would be allowed.
Okay, because like who cares about offending white people? I mean, really. But
well, yeah, and like that's not even a thing, really.
Yeah, I know. It's like the one that people go to, though. But I'm just like thinking of. I was in a racial studies class. What do they call it? Race class. It was called Race Class and Society or something like that. And. Which now they should definitely change the name of because that's not politically correct. But the professor asked...
What part's not politically correct?
Like race is a social construct, so I think it should be called like heritage, like class and something else or something like that. I don't know, maybe. Or have just a different name. Or be called like social justice or something, or social...
I think maybe if they just called it racism, that'd be...
Right.
At least we know that's real.
There you go. We know that. There you go. I like that. I'm going to petition to Cal State Long Beach. But the professor asked, like, what is a slur for white people? And you can't even think of one. So there you go. And it's like nobody's offended by them. So that doesn't count.
Yeah, nobody's ever died as a result and had to hear that word as they were lynched.
So that's good that they did that, but there are a lot of other ones that, of course, do. So, like, I mean, I get the player's point, but what do you think?
Well, the players, I always am very careful when I hear somebody making the argument about the slippery slope, because I'm just, that tends to be a way for people to excuse shitty things and be like, yeah, but where do we stop?
Right.
You know, is every word offensive? And it's sort of like, well, what if we just stopped with, the N-word and the other ethnic slurs.
Yes.
And like the F word for gay people and stuff like that.
Yes.
Because it really isn't a slippery slope. And if we're all honest, we all know that. And so, I don't know. It felt like they were saying, like, where do you draw the line? But it's like, how about we just draw the line where we're saying at racial slurs?
Yeah.
But I thought it was an interesting conversation because for players, the words really... Somebody said Scrabble is a numbers game disguised as a word game. And I thought that was an interesting way to put it.
Absolutely. It totally is a number. Yes. Oh,
yeah.
And these are the sets of numbers that go together that are allowed to be played together.
And I'm sure certain words are helpful to them, and those weird words that they use, like, that aren't really words, but they're words.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting.
This is a crazy time, so I just want to take a minute to encourage people, if you're feeling sad, anxious, scared, depressed, any of those things, that you can give BetterHelp a try, which is an online counseling and therapy service. And I just really like that it's so convenient that people can contact their, professional counselor via their phone or their computer for, 24 hours a day. So you feel maybe less alone because things are bonkers right now.
Yes.
If you're having trouble with relationships, I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing that because we're all cooped up inside as well. BetterHelp is a great option. You can get a great therapeutic match for whatever needs you may have. It's affordable, it's convenient, it's professional, and we want you to start living a happier life today. And as a listener, you get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/braincandy. You can join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/braincandy. I mean, we need all the help we can get.
We sure do. There is nothing better than some good therapy. I mean, if anybody knows that.
Right. We're in favor.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, so I thought that was interesting. And it also is kind of complicated how, like, how it's not like black people are a monolith. So some black people would be against this change and some people would be for it. And so it can be complicated figuring out, like, wait, so what do we do?
It is. Oh,
I mean,
man.
There's always
I don't have the
Candace
answer.
Owens in the mix.
Right.
Bitch
Oh, my goodness. Yes. I mean, it's so interesting. I just want to know family dynamics of all of these. Like, I want to know what upbringings were like. Everybody, just everybody.
Everyone in the world.
Everyone in the world. I just want to know what was it like for you? Interesting.
Right?
I'm in the right profession.
People are complicated, man.
They're so complicated. I had a supervisor once who told me that people are like puzzles, and some people are 12-piece puzzles, and some people are 1,000-piece puzzles.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody's a 1,000-piece puzzle.
That's what I think, Sarah.
I do.
Almost
I really
everybody.
do. I think, I think it's almost like one of those, you just have to zoom in, and sometimes those 12 pieces are made up of like 12 more, that we just can't see, and so you got to zoom in. Ooh, yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Yes.
We've kind of talked about this before, but I read a New Yorker article about kind of like erasing memories. There was
that freaks me out so much. Yep, go.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk about it again, because it's like, we've talked about it, but this is so interesting. Well, the person that they focused on was a woman who is a scholar of memories, and she went to school for this because her father was in the Holocaust. He was, I don't know if it was Auschwitz or not, but he was in a concentration camp and never spoke about it and refused to talk about it with her. Mm-hmm. And, of course, she understood why, but she wanted to learn about memories and whether you can, in fact, access painful things without being re-traumatized, and if so, how that would look. Mm-hmm. And if you could kind of alter your memories to be almost like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind kind of thing, where maybe you get rid of them altogether if they're too painful. Mm-hmm. And so they were just talking about the ways that memory is so complicated and how, I'm sure you've heard this, they've done experiments where they presented 4 stories from your childhood to you, and one of them is not true. One of them didn't happen to you and was fake, but it included details that sound true. Like they reference like people you actually related to and whatever. Like they would tell them they got lost in the mall when they were a child, and they would name the mall that was the one they would go to when they were a child. So it seems kind of real.
Yeah, you put the elements together, and then our brain naturally fills in the details of the story, and then we think it was real.
Yeah, and 25% of the people remembered it truly and believed that it happened to them.
Yeah.
And they were saying that, I mean, this is something we know, but memory is like a Wikipedia page. So you can change it. And not only can you change it, but other people can change it. And how fucked up that is and cuckoo crazy. And remembering something is the very thing that makes it vulnerable, as we know. Once you kind of retrieve a memory, every time you do that, you change it a little bit, even if you don't realize it. And they were just sort of looking into, like, can you erase fear associated with memory? And they were arguing that you can. Like, by presenting a bad memory repeatedly without anything bad happening, you can lessen that fear, right? Like exposure therapy.
That's EMDR.
What's that stand for?
Eye movement rapid desensitization. It's a very, very, very helpful form of therapy that I see insane results for. Because it's reprocessing the trauma that you experienced through the lens of an adult with the understanding that you have in this present moment, not the limited scope of the world and the fear, like the place that you were in your mind when you experienced that trauma or whatever the memory was. And you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a tricky thing because, you know, in order to know whether this is going to work, you have to access something that's very painful.
Yeah.
But they were arguing that this can help conditioning in addicts. Like, it wasn't clear to me how they meant that, but that there was hope, and they're working on it, and they're thinking that this sort of exposure therapy in a safe environment can be helpful to people that have suffered real pain. Yes. One thing, just as an aside, that I thought was so interesting was how, when the father finally did open up about the Holocaust, he was saying how the physical pain wasn't the main issue. It was the indignity of it. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, if you apply it to something in your life that was painful, that's probably the true for you too. And I liked having that sort of laid out in front of me.
Yeah, what it was about the thing. Yeah, because then you can look at it and you can realize how to kind of how to build that up again. What do I need to feel like I have my dignity back?
And wouldn't you agree that so often what can be painful is like, because let's say you have a rape or some sort of situation like that, physical abuse. The first time you open up about it, someone might not believe you depending on who you tell. So then you've been re-traumatized, right?
Yep.
So now it isn't maybe even about the physical act. It's about the indignity of both being through that, but also the indignity of not being believed.
Yes.
But in the end, the essence of the article really stuck with me was that memory is not what you think you were in the past. It's what you are now. So every time you know how, okay, let's say you think, like, for instance, I thought I had a great childhood. I was happy, whatever. Only as an adult did I look back and think, like, whoa, that was really bonkers. And it changed my feeling about certain things that weren't painful at the time. But then when I retrieved those memories and reprocessed them, they became painful. And that's sort of something that I think a lot of people go through when they reflect on their childhood. And so that's what the essence of the article was.
But you have to reflect it. You have to, you know, I think, and maybe this is the positive reframe, like, that I tend to do, or like try to look at, like, I don't know, maybe it's like more like growth mindset of like, what about those elements made, oh my God, Susie, our frickin' book club book.
Which one?
The, what is it called? Please help me. Yours. Your pick.
For this month?
Yes, that's so beautiful. One of the best books I've ever read. Untamed. Oh my God. I'll cry when I say this. The most beautiful line ever. Oh, I don't even know why I get emotional because I read it and it was so sweet. It says the most beautiful life, or that the best life is a true and beautiful one. Not one that's perfect. Not one that we don't want all the good. We don't want, because like you reflected on that time as like beautiful and wonderful. And it was the things that were like the struggles and the good times and the bad times that created that, you know? When we think back on what our best, our the thing we're most proud of and the thing that we're like feel the best for accomplishing it always comes with a struggle. It always comes with that. So like, everybody has to embrace that. That book's the best ever. And oh my God, it makes me cry. And it's so ridiculous because the story in it is so beautiful.
Why does it make you cry?
Oh, okay. So
what's happening right now?
I know. It's because I just read it like last night or something. And I told,
yes. You.
Oh my God, it's like the best book. Oh, it touches my heart. So
I'm so sorry that I've like
hit it,
made
like,
you cry.
No, it's so good. I think this is so important because I think people can get locked into those memories and they can like create this narrative that their life, that like you get to choose what you look at. You get to choose what parts you see. You can see the pain, you can see the suffering, and you can dwell on that as pain and suffering. Or you can look at the pain that's like a real part of the human existence, and you can see the growth, the resilience, the strength, the determination, all that stuff. And the story changes. And the person's, it becomes, goes from being a sad story to a story of hope. And like, so, this is the part that makes me cry. So, I know it's so silly. But there was the woman who wrote the book. She helps, is I guess a life coach. Like I still haven't really gathered 100% of what she does, like besides being an amazing author. But this woman wrote her, and she said, "I have a son who's terminally ill, and he, it's so difficult and it's so painful. And how do I find joy and how do I find pain?" So she instructed the mom to write the most beautiful the most true and beautiful story about a mother and a son. The woman wrote back and said the most beautiful and true story wasn't about the most perfect life. It wasn't about, a person who has a able-bodied child and who was like, the most true and beautiful story was the one that she was living. And it was like the sweetest, most, I was like, oh my God, I can't take that. It's so sweet. And I was like sitting there, and it was like when I was camping. So I was like in nature and thinking about all this. And now I'm like a crying hot mess, and look what you did to me. But it's beautiful.
No, I mean, it is. And I think the takeaway for me is about empowering us.
Yes.
That, first of all, memories aren't fixed. So, you can access them and reprocess them and make changes, really, to how you see it. And that there is hope if you have trauma, that maybe exposure therapy may help you depending on how you do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that we're all safe, and that I see this as like the power of the mind. You can look at it as, oh my gosh, my memories are so malleable or pliable and changeable, all that stuff. Or you can see it as a way to say, like, I don't need to be trapped by those memories, and instead choose to kind of live in the present, because, I feel like the more you practice mindfulness, the more you're present in the moment, the less those memories, I don't know, maybe kind of control you, or you can choose how you want to access them. Whenever I do lectures on sexual abuse, I always start with a containment, guided meditation, where I'll have somebody pick, I'll tell them to find a safe place in their mind and imagine a box, and then they open the box, and that's where all of the heavy stuff goes. And then when we're done, we close the box and they can store it somewhere safe in there. And just doing those little things and telling your brain to hold that information somewhere your brain does it. It's crazy. Like, our brains are, you can tell your brain to do a whole bunch of stuff. And instead of just letting it be on autopilot, like, let's be the navigators, the guides, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and it sometimes annoys me because it's like our brains feel so weak and pliable. But if given that that's the case, use it to your advantage, like you're describing.
Yes.
Like, try to make it work in a way that's helpful.
And I think especially with trauma and stuff like that, writing things down is so powerful, because I'll say, and maybe why this touches me is that sometimes the thing that's the most re-traumatizing, especially about like my own stuff that I've been through as a child and my own traumas, it's the questioning my memories of like, did that really happen? Because one of the like hallmarks of you know, a sexual abuse especially is the perpetrator convincing the victim that, you know, it didn't
questioning
happen.
Reality,
One of the things that the victim does is question reality. So, you know, and so sometimes I have to write things down. And even when I was going through my divorce, my friends told me my friends from school said, right, okay, get out a pen, write down. You are a rational person with sane thought, and so I could keep going back to that, because any time that you doubt, you just have to find that moment of strength, find that moment of clarity when you have like that solid understanding, then write down those feelings. And then when you're feeling like you're, you know, in that trauma moment, just look back at what your clear, level-headed mind said, and you'll be like, oh, right. That's here and now. That's happening in the present. I'm good.
There you go.
Yeah. Woo! Look at Susie.
Plan,
it's always
people.
like therapy when I come on. I had no idea I was going to cry about that. But holy shit, is that book good? And people should definitely join our book club, because I am going to bawl like a baby this month.
I feel like a total asshole because I don't love it as much. But I know that everyone else does in the whole world.
Yeah, I love it.
So I know why, and it's because I studied prosperity gospel and like self-help culture for my dissertation, so I'm like maxed out. But people friggin' love the book, and it speaks to women especially, so I'm glad that we'll have a robust conversation in our book club. I'm sure.
And it's hilarious because it all sounds like stories I could have written, and I was like, yeah, no wonder you like it, because you have to hear me talk about this all freaking day.
No.
It's basically like the stories. You know.
A lot of it has to do with like the watering down of religious language to be repackaged as like secular self-help and whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I watched this video on, Business Insider, and it was just kind of saying how the toilet paper industry coped with the demand during the quarantine thing.
Yes.
And one thing that I thought was so interesting.
Did they?
Well, they couldn't do much because, you know, half of the industry makes commercial toilet paper, and you can't just like swap one for the other. And it wasn't that we were pooping more, it was that we were pooping at home more, so we needed a specific kind of roll.
Nobody wants that one-ply shit.
Right, in that gigantic roll that's
ridiculous.
Like you see in the mall and stuff. Yeah.
I did come really close to like trying to go to a place and steal one of those, because they were out of toilet paper.
Right. You got to do what you got to do.
I was like, damn.
What if that's why you would end up in TMZ? Because you stole
a roll of toilet paper. I feel like people would have understood in those tough times.
Yeah, you'd be a hero. Yeah. You'd be like that person who stole the cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory during the protests.
Oh my God, I did not see that.
That hero. Like they were just walking around with a plate with cheesecake on it. And I was like, that's a hero right
Shout
there.
out to the Golden Girls. There you go.
Okay, so what I thought was so interesting, though, was that there were other countries experiencing the toilet paper shortage, but not all of them. And they were saying that it's only in countries where that's like really a big deal, because basically what people hoard in these situations is whatever gives them a sense of control and comfort. And so in India, for example, they don't really give a shit about toilet paper, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they ran out of wheat flour. So whatever recipes they make with wheat flour were comforting to them. And in China, it was rice. It wasn't toilet paper.
That makes sense. And oh, my God, that makes sense.
It does, but it doesn't, because I thought, well, everyone poops. So you would think everyone would think that was required, but other people must not mind using like paper or a magazine or whatever.
No, it's just the technique, because if you travel, we're like a lot of countries that I go to use a little bucket.
Right.
They don't even use toilet paper.
Yeah.
And it would seem ridiculous because a lot of places just have a hole in the ground.
Right.
And that's like
so,
totally
for them,
normal
it's
and
like
totally
no big
fine.
deal.
And it's like not even a big, like, it's not my favorite, but, you know, it's like, that's how they do it. So it would be crazy to go and like all of a sudden never purchased toilet paper before and now you're going to?
Yeah. So,
Yeah. But if you were fearful about, like, you think, if I run out of this, what, like, things will not be okay. And for us, that's toilet paper. And maybe that speaks to the abundance of food that we have.
Well, that's true. Good point.
In the United States, and how that was not a worry for us.
Yeah, we knew that would be there.
But maybe, yeah, interesting. I like
There
that.
you
Well, I
go.
mean, I don't
Yeah.
like that, but I think it's fun to think about.
The last story I will share, it was sent to us by a brainiac named Jen, who, it was in the New Yorker, and it was the history of the cod piece.
Oh, my goodness, I read this.
What did you think of it?
Yes. Well, I mean, I didn't read all of it, I will say. I just kind of, I didn't think that this was a real thing. I almost thought, and this is funny, as I was reading it, I was thinking, I have somehow in my mind labeled all stories that happen in medieval times as fantasy of like dragons and like all that. Like, it almost like I forget that there's an actual period of time in which there were like knights and like that.
Yeah.
So it's
it does
weird.
Seem made up.
It seems like a made up part, like weird to me. I can't explain it. I know it's weird, but
Well, I didn't even know this
that.
was such a thing that would require a history of, but evidently
Tell
it
me
is.
more. Tell me what I missed in this article.
They were just saying that, like, it initially started because they needed some way to keep their syphilis meds on their penis. And they didn't want it to get on their clothes. So they started wearing this, like, pouch over that area to kind of keep the medicine on, like almost like a Band-Aid kind of, or a bandage.
Oh my God. Yeah, really missed the takeaways from the. I got the headline, and that's it.
But then it sort of evolved into a bit of a fashion statement, and they would get real big ones to make it look like they had big wieners. And then they would use it as a pocket for like an orange or a mirror or even a pistol, which seems ill-advised.
Is that a big stick in your codpiece, or are you just happy to see me?
Or are you about to shoot off your penis with a pistol?
Oh my God.
And then it went out of fashion suddenly, and more feminine features became trendy, like ruffles. So the codpiece was short-lived, I suppose.
Weird. But, like, how did this really affect syphilis?
Well, it
Like-
kept the medicine from getting on their
Right,
clothes.
but did nothing about the transmission. Because
Yeah,
they
because
didn't know.
let's face
don't
it,
know.
they were probably using, like, essential oils.
Right. There
and
was no medicine. for
oregano
their
or something.
Right. Their syphilis. Yeah, it was like a leech or I don't know. Something
Yeah, it wasn't
weird.
like antibiotics, let's
Right.
face it.
Oh my gosh.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that was just an odd everything during that time.
Well, funnily enough, I read a different article that was about this big chalk drawing. I'd never heard of it, but it's in England. It's 180 feet tall, but it's like on the ground. And it's of a man. And they dated
Like
it to
the
the
erect,
medieval.
the erect penis
Yes.
one? Yeah, what is going on with that?
Okay, well, they said they dated it to the medieval period, which is older than they thought, and they were able to do so thanks to snail shells that they found in the soil, and that they believed that the erect penis was originally smaller, but during the Victorian era, it
No.
was stretched to merge with the belly button, and now it's bigger.
What? Oh
So,
my
like,
God. That is
There's
so
like
funny.
this chalk guy, and then there's this wiener and balls, but it's like pointing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And they were able to date it, and then they were like, oh, by the way, his penis grew over the years.
What year did they say? What time
They
period?
just said the medieval period.
Oh, medieval period. That might be because when I went to someplace near Pompeii in Italy, like, and saw, like, you can, like, walk through, I think it was Pompeii, actually. But you can walk through, like, the ruins, and there, on the doors, there were, like, pictures of erect penises everywhere. And it was a thing that was, like, a symbol of good luck then. And so, like, the penises, an erect penis has forever been, like, a symbol of, like, good luck, or fertility and all that stuff. So I think it's only now that we, like, giggle at it because, like, we've been taught to, like, I don't know, cover it up with a codpiece and stuff like that. But
what if this guy was just, like, really into chalk?
Made him real horny.
And he, like, got a boner over it.
So, but, like, I don't understand the chalk part though that it's made out of. Like, I thought
this is what I wondered.
Like, how does it not, like, just blow away?
I did. I didn't even know this thing existed. So
I didn't either until I saw a picture of it recently.
Okay. They referred to it as chalk, but I don't get the same as you how this is still intact.
Right, because wouldn't it, like, it's not like you know, like crop circles where it's, like, laid down. Yeah, I think so too. Like, chalk is, like, a weird word. We just think of, like, something, and then when it rains, it washes away, like the hopscotch squares I just drew.
Yeah, we're not falling for that, scholars.
Come on, I don't get it. So
I don't either.
I don't either.
But now they know when it existed and that the penis is bigger than it used to be. There you go.
Oh my God, that's so funny. What if everybody was, like, using that as, like, a comparison? Like, all the people at that time were, like, flipping it up and holding it towards their belly button to be like, nope.
Right.
If only I could be.
I don't measure up.
That's funny. Yeah.
One last thing before we go. I read an article about the way that you calculate the age of your dog, which is not what we think.
Susie, tell me everything. How old is Bo?
Oh, my God. Well,
it's not 7 years?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
They said that, like, basically the way that it works is it's super front-loaded, so they age... A 1-year-old dog would be 30.
Whoa.
But then a 12-year-old dog is 70, so it, like, slows down over time.
Good. Okay,
yeah.
So she's looking like she's, like, 65. She
See,
should have been able to do that hike.
What's her dog age? Like, what's
question mark? They say somewhere between 10 and 12.
Oh, dang.
About. Like, one place I took her was like, oh, she's 6. And I'm like, that's not true. And then, but everywhere we go, people are like, oh, look at the old lady. So I know she looks like she's an old lady. And my cousin vet put her at about 10 years old.
Okay, 10.
Yeah.
Interesting. So like 60 or 70, according to this article.
Yeah.
Which is what you thought.
Yeah.
But it's like mainly it applies to those younger dogs.
Yes, because when you do that, okay.
So by the time they're 1, they're like an adult, 30 years old.
And when you do the math at about 10 years, she's about 70, so that is 7 years for each year. Okay, I see that. That makes way more sense. Then
so
how come
taking her on these godforsaken hikes?
What? My aunt is over 70 and she hikes miles, so she can do it. And
all right,
okay.
Poor Bo.
Yes. No, I will say she's definitely good. But we got her or have on our list to buy these amazing vests that go on dogs that keep them cool. So, like, she won't overheat. And it's like, it's very important because it's hot out there. And and so you, like, dip it in water and it, like, gets into this gel and you just put it on it back and it reflects the sun. And so she's going to be set. She's just going to be, like, cruising from now on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you learned a lot thanks to Tina and Pickles and the whole gang.
Yes.
The Survivor contestant.
And you taught me a lot about the history of ice cream, so thank you. Or ice cream
trucks,
learned a lot
today.
Yes.
We learned a lot. Don't forget to tell a friend and subscribe and follow us on social media. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.